Welcome back, YouTube, to Icy Chap's Edge. I'm Icy Chap here with another review, this time looking at the Gerber Freeman Hunter. And this is a knife that I classify as a low-budget bushcraft knife. And I say low budget when I compare this knife to some other very high-quality offerings. Best example I can give you is Bark River. They make some tremendous knives, but they're also very expensive. They use high quality materials and their fit and finish is superb, but you pay for that kind of quality. If you're looking for something a little more affordable, then the Gerber Freeman Hunter is a viable option. I'm going to tell you that this knife has some serious shortcomings, and I'll explain what they are. And then I'll also tell you what I do like. And if you feel you can overlook those shortcomings and really want to get an economical knife, then go for it. So let's get on with the review. Lots to talk about. First hit against the knife is the sheath. While it is a synthetic material sheath, it is too bulky and doesn't have a lot of capability for that bulk. You've got a plastic insert surrounded by ballistic nylon. The plastic insert is too big, it's much bigger than the knife, and is way too thick. The ballistic nylon has got a whole bunch of extra material here, and if you see, I'll just cover it with my hand. If you cut off this section of nylon, then you've got a much more narrow and comfortable sheath to work with. Also, the quality of the nylon itself is very low. I can feel it's very rough with my hand. And I can tell you that the stitching is also weak, and if I subjected this sheath to any kind of hard use, I'm sure it would degrade very, very quickly. You only have this belt loop for carry, and you have no quick attachment capability. You have to take your belt off, and it is going to migrate. So not a good sheath at all. That's the first hit against the knife. Second hit against the knife is, if we look at the, there we can see it, the Gerber symbol. Notice that on the blade itself there is no marking as to what kind of steel it is. And I can tell you that on Gerber's site they simply call it high carbon stainless. Well, in my book that is mystery steel, and it really looks to me like this is a 440 variant, maybe 440C, and I have no idea what kind of edge retention it's going to have. I've used this knife a couple times for very light tasks, and I really don't have enough experience with it to tell you how good the edge retention is, but I suspect it's not going to be very good. If you want to do some very light batoning with this knife, I do think it has a thick enough spine that it's going to absorb the shock, but I think you're going to dull that edge very, very quickly. But I'm going to talk about the blade in a second. So really the second shortcoming is the steel. The third shortcoming of the knife is really the handle. I don't think this is a good handle design at all. Number one problem, the handle slabs are this slick wood. I think that's going to be a problem because it's probably not going to be very durable, and despite the finish, I don't know how weather resistant those wooden slabs are going to be. I think they're probably fairly low quality. Now I can remove them with a hex wrench or an Allen key and put my own slabs on there, but as they come, I don't think they're very good. In addition to not having a lot of grip, I do have grip because of this extensive jimping. And let's see if you can see that in the camera. You've got a lot of jimping on the spine, a lot of jimping in the finger grooves, and at the back of the palm of the hand. The downside of that, however, is that over time, because you've got exposed metal, that's going to create hot spots on your hand. And it's not going to be very comfortable for using this knife for any kind of long period of time if you've got a hard task to complete. A good example is skinning. If I really wanted to use this knife as a skinning knife, I suspect it's going to be very uncomfortable very fast. Even if I choke up and put my finger on the back of the blade, I still have this jimping digging into the palm of my hand and all this exposed metal. I don't think that's going to be very comfortable at all. In addition, in cold weather, that exposed metal is going to transfer the cold to my hand. One other major problem with the handle that I see is for small bushcraft tasks, if I want to choke up on the knife, all of a sudden I have these 2 points from the finger grooves digging into the palm of my hand. that's not a good design, and over time it's going to become very uncomfortable. Actually, it becomes very uncomfortable right away. Forget about over time. So not a good handle design. So what do I like about the knife? Well, I like two things about the knife. Number one, I do like the jimping on the spine because it gives me a secondary edge, basically, or a type of surface to scrape wood with and to strike on a magnesium bar or a fire steel. Very good idea on all bushcraft knives to have some kind of jimping. The second thing I really like about the knife is the blade design. I really like the drop point. It's got nice sweep and a lot of belly. It's not a full flat grind. It does have a bevel about half an inch down from the spine, but I am going to be able to put a very acute edge on it. And because I think it is probably a 440, I can get a very good edge on it. I don't know if it's going to hold it, but I can certainly make it sharp. In addition, the knife does have a decent spine to it. So it is going to be fairly strong throughout that blade. I also like the blade length because it keeps the knife very nimble, it's very lightweight, yet has a lot of utility, especially in the latter third of the blade. Because it's a short blade and very lightweight, and it has that great jimping and these finger grooves, I have a lot of positive control, especially when I'm doing slicing tasks. So for that reason, I really do like the blade design. And if you look at some more expensive knives, they have very similar designs. I think the reason why this knife kind of suffers and why I can't give it such a great score is because of the poor materials and kind of poor execution on the idea. While the design is good, I think the handle is going to be very uncomfortable. I think the blade steel is probably a mediocre steel at best. And the sheath is really this big, bulky, cheap, low-quality sheath. So overall, I have to give the knife a mere 6 out of 10. That being said, if you are simply looking for an economical solution to the bushcraft problem and really just need a knife to take with you on short wilderness excursions when you don't need a higher quality survival blade, I would say the Gerber Freeman Hunter can definitely live up to that need. So that is my review of the Gerber Freeman Hunter. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave comments, subscribe, and have a good one.